Good evening and welcome to House Church. My name is Matt Martinez. I'm the pastor here at Renovation Church Shoreview. We are in our fourth week of our 6-week House Church run right here at Shoreview. And in my own experience, this is about the time where you really start to connect with the people in your house church and specifically your small group. So I want to encourage you to finish out these 6 weeks. These relationships will be so valuable in the coming months and years. All right. So tonight, I want to talk to you all about being people of hope in the middle of bad news. Now, when you hear that, you should be thinking, that sounds really nice, but how is that possible? Particularly when the bad news affects me personally. I believe it comes down to two things. We have to remember the limits of evil, and we have to take the posture of a waiter. I want to explain both of those things, but let's start with our passage. 2 Timothy 3:8-9. Just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these teachers oppose the truth. They are men of depraved minds, who as far as their faith is concerned, are rejected. But they will not get very far, because as in the case of those men, their folly will be made clear to everyone. Jannes and Jambres were two magicians of Pharaoh. Their names kind of sound like a famous music duo, but they were people who opposed Moses in the book of Exodus. God had instructed Moses to go to Pharaoh and demand that he free the Israelites from slavery. The sign that Moses was acting on God's command was the incredible miracles he would perform, displaying the power of God. But as Moses began performing those miracles, Jannes and Jambres were able to mimic the same miracles through the power of evil. Now, I cannot imagine how that must have felt. Moses was already the underdog. He's walking into the palace of Pharaoh, but at least he had those miracles. Now, even that advantage seemed to be gone. That is bad news. What would you have done? Keep going? Would you pivot? Would you stop? Would you give up? Thankfully, Moses kept going. And when we read through the Exodus, chapter 7-12, we see what happened. The power of Jannes and Jambres hit a ceiling, and they could not keep performing the miracles Moses was doing. But the power of God, through Moses, kept going. Evil had a limit to its power and authority. God's power and authority does not have limits. The bad news in the world today can feel overwhelming, even paralyzing at times. But it will come to an end, just as it came to an end for Jannes and Jambres. I've seen God heal too many times, provide too many times, to not believe that. And honestly, what's the alternative? Despair? Depression? Hopelessness? I've also seen people walk that path as well. I had some friends who experienced one of the worst tragedies people could go through, the loss of a child. They said that the despair and the depression they experienced became this black hole that just threatened to swallow them up and overwhelm them. There would have been no end to that hopelessness except through death. But out of this terrible news, they found hope that is never ending, the all-consuming love of Jesus. They chose to be overwhelmed by God and His love instead. When we hold on to the faith that one day God will overcome evil and will redeem what is broken, it frees us to keep going and then be present with people and encourage them to keep going too. That is what being a people of hope looks like in the middle of bad news. Being people of hope also requires taking on the posture of a waiter. We wait because we know God has already won. We wait because we know that one day everything will be made right. And that waiting is not passive. It is an act of trust. We trust that God will save. We trust that God will redeem, will heal. But here's the thing about a good waiter. They don't just stand around. They serve while they wait. In the same way, when we're in the middle of bad news, we can serve those around us who are experiencing it too. We can be the presence of hope for someone else while we're still waiting ourselves. In verse 9, there is hope because God promises that all will be made clear. The folly of those who led others astray will be shown as lies. And the eternal reward for those whose hope was in Jesus, we get that too. So finish your 6 weeks. Show up for your small group and encourage one another to keep hoping. Have a great night.